Have you ever stopped and asked yourself who you are truly living for? Not for your job, not for your friends, not for the expectations that weigh you down, but for you. Think about it for a moment. How much of your energy, your time, your thoughts is spent chasing approval, meeting deadlines that don't matter, or worrying about what others think of you? Now imagine for a second what it would feel like to redirect even a fraction of that energy back to yourself. To wake up each day with intention, clarity, and a sense of purpose that is entirely yours. That is the power of focusing on yourself daily. It is not selfish to care for yourself. It is essential. Because the truth is, when you neglect yourself, the world doesn't stop. It only magnifies your fatigue, your frustration, your sense of being lost. But when you make yourself the priority, even in small, consistent ways, something shifts. You feel lighter, you think clearer, you move with more confidence. You start to notice doors opening where once there were walls. You start to realize that the life you have been searching for, the life that feels just out of reach, has always been waiting for you to turn your focus inward, to take responsibility for your own growth, to become your own source of energy, courage, and hope. Every moment you spend away from yourself is a moment of opportunity lost. Every time you give your attention to things that don't serve you, you chip away at the potential you could be creating. But here's the beautiful part. It doesn't take drastic changes. Transformation begins with awareness and intention, with daily commitment, with the quiet, consistent act of choosing yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. That small act, repeated over time, compounds into extraordinary results. Your focus becomes a magnet for progress. Your habits begin to shape the life you dream about. Your mindset becomes a fortress of clarity that cannot be shaken by outside noise. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that every choice you make is in alignment with who you truly want to be. Feeling the surge of energy that comes from living deliberately, watching as your confidence grows, your clarity sharpens, and your sense of purpose deepens. This is not just a vision. It is possible. And it starts with one decision: to focus on yourself daily without apology, without hesitation. By the end of this journey, you will understand how to protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and invest in yourself in ways that ripple across every area of your life. You will feel the power of your own attention, the liberation that comes from self-trust, and the satisfaction of finally stepping into the life that was always meant for you. Every second you spend here listening, absorbing, imagining is a second you are reclaiming for yourself. This is your chance to stop living on autopilot, to stop giving pieces of yourself away to what doesn't matter, and to start building a life that feels fully, unmistakably yours. Right now, in this moment, you can make a choice to commit, to focus, to invest in the one person who will be with you through every struggle, every victory, every quiet moment in between. That person is you. And everything begins here. Everything begins with focus. Everything begins today. Take a moment and look inward, not at the surface, not at the distractions, not at the noise around you, but deep inside. What thoughts are running through your mind right now? Which emotions have taken root quietly, shaping the way you move through the world? Awareness is the doorway to transformation. Until you understand your inner landscape, the habits, fears, and beliefs that guide your choices, you cannot direct your life with intention. Every thought you nurture, every feeling you give attention to is shaping your reality. And yet, most of us drift through days, reacting to circumstances instead of consciously choosing our path. The first step to reclaiming control is clarity. Clarity about who you are, what drives you, and what drains you. This is not a one-time exercise. It is a daily practice. A commitment to pause, reflect, and observe without judgment. When you allow yourself to see the patterns in your mind, the fears that whisper, and the doubts that linger, you gain power. Because power does not come from ignoring what is inside. It comes from understanding it, confronting it, and choosing how to respond. The act of facing yourself, even for a few minutes each day, is radical. It is revolutionary, and it is the foundation for every other change you will ever make. Your mind is not a static space, it is a garden. If left untended, weeds will grow: self-doubt, comparison, fear, distraction. But when you focus on nurturing what matters, clarity, courage, discipline, and self-compassion, your garden flourishes. You begin to notice thoughts that once controlled. You no longer have the power to dictate your actions. You begin to see opportunities where before there was only confusion. you start to feel a growing confidence, a quiet strength that no outside circumstance can shake. And every day, this strength compounds. It becomes an unshakable foundation for the life you are building. Reflection is not passive, it is active. It is choosing to hold a mirror to your mind and heart to see not just who you are, but who you are capable of becoming. When you face your fears, acknowledge your limitations, and identify the beliefs that no longer serve you, you gain freedom. Freedom to choose your actions, to focus on your growth, to direct your energy toward what truly matters. Each moment of awareness is a moment you reclaim for yourself, a moment where you step off autopilot and take the wheel of your life. Imagine the clarity that comes when every decision, every thought, every action is rooted in understanding yourself deeply. Picture the confidence that arises when your mind is no longer a battlefield of doubt and distraction, but a tool you control. This is the reward of self-awareness, a life that responds to your intentional choices rather than the whims of circumstance or the opinions of others. The more you look inward, the stronger you become. The more you understand, the more freedom you create. And this freedom is addictive. It fuels every effort, every dream, every action you take. Your inner world is the soil from which everything else grows. Tend to it daily, observe it daily, nourish it daily, because the clearer you see yourself, the stronger your focus becomes. The more intentional your choices become, and the closer you move toward the life you have always wanted, the life that begins and ends with the one person you must never neglect, you. How often do you pause to notice how much of your life is dictated by the need for approval? Every choice you make, every word you speak, every action you take carries the subtle weight of other people's expectations. It is exhausting, isn't it? That constant striving to be enough in someone else's eyes leaves you drained, confused, and disconnected from yourself. Yet so many of us live this way, believing that the approval of others is a measure of our worth. But the truth is, no external validation can ever replace the power and freedom of self-approval. When you release the need to be seen, liked, or accepted by everyone around you, a profound liberation begins. You stop bending to meet standards that were never yours. You stop chasing applause that will never satisfy. And in that space, you find yourself. You discover the quiet certainty that comes from knowing you are enough exactly as you are. Your energy is no longer siphoned by worry or comparison. Every action becomes intentional. Every choice aligns with your vision, your purpose, your values. The peace that comes from self-approval is not passive. It is electric. It fuels courage, focus, and determination in ways that seeking external validation never can. Notice how much of your life is spent performing rather than living. Notice how often you silence your desires or dim your light to avoid judgment. The pattern is familiar because society conditions us this way, but conditioning can be unlearned. Every time you give yourself permission to trust your own judgment, to honor your instincts, to prioritize your own growth, you break a chain. You reclaim pieces of yourself that have been lost to the expectations of others, and each reclaimed piece strengthens your resilience, sharpens your focus, and deepens your sense of purpose. The act of self-approval is deceptively simple yet transformative. It can begin with small, deliberate choices, saying what you feel, honoring your own schedule, taking actions that align with your true priorities rather than someone else's desires. These choices ripple outward, reshaping how you interact with the world, how you respond to challenges, and how you measure your own worth. The brain is remarkably adaptive. When you consistently choose yourself, your mind rewires, confidence grows, doubt diminishes, fear loses its grip, and the momentum you create compounds daily, quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. Imagine waking up each day free from the invisible chains of judgment. Imagine acting with clarity because your choices are rooted in your own values. Imagine the relief, the energy, the courage that surges when you finally realize that no one's approval is required for you to live fully. That realization is not distant. It is available right now, in this moment. All it requires is commitment. Commitment to yourself. Commitment to your focus. Commitment to your growth. The life you want, the power you seek, the confidence you crave, all begin with a single act, choosing yourself first. Not selfishly, but intentionally. Not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. Every time you place your worth in your own hands, You are building a foundation that no external opinion can shake. This is freedom. This is clarity. This is power. And this is where real transformation begins. Every day you wake up, you are given a choice to drift through life reacting to circumstances or to deliberately craft the life you want through intentional action. Focus is not a passive state. It is a muscle, a skill that strengthens with practice, and a cornerstone of every meaningful achievement. When you direct your attention to what matters most, your growth, your vision, your values, you begin to operate from a place of power rather than reaction. Scattered attention, multitasking, and distraction are the silent thieves of progress, stealing not only your productivity, but your sense of purpose. The mind that is trained to focus becomes unstoppable. Consider the energy you waste each day on things that do not serve you, endless scrolling, worrying about things you cannot control, second guessing your every move. Every moment spent distraction is a moment where your potential is held back. But when you reclaim that attention and dedicate it to yourself, everything changes. You begin to notice the small actions that compound into real growth. You notice the clarity that emerges when your mind is no longer pulled in 1,000 directions. You feel a quiet strength that comes from mastery over your own focus. And with that strength comes freedom, the freedom to create, to achieve, to become exactly who you are meant to be. Focus is the bridge between dreams and reality. It turns ideas into action, plans into results, and intentions into outcomes. It allows you to harness your energy in deliberate ways, shaping your life with purpose rather than drifting aimlessly. Every distraction you remove, every moment you reclaim is an investment in your own transformation. The brain responds to attention. What you focus on expands. If you focus on fear, doubt, or limitation, those will grow. But if you focus on your goals, your strengths, and your growth, those will expand too. Attention is not neutral, it is creative. And when used consciously, it becomes a tool for building the life you desire. To strengthen focus, you must prioritize yourself daily. You must set boundaries, eliminate noise, and create spaces where your mind can operate with clarity. Simple practices, intentional pauses, single tasking, mindful breathing are not trivial. They are the foundation of mastery. Each time you commit to focus, you signal to yourself that your time, your energy, and your life are valuable. You begin to act with precision, with intention, with a sense of urgency that carries you towards your dreams. Imagine what is possible when every hour, every choice, every thought is guided by clear, deliberate focus. Imagine the momentum that builds when distractions no longer pull you away from what matters most. Imagine the satisfaction of watching your life transform because you are no longer at the mercy of scattered attention, but the architect of your own reality. This is the reward of focus, clarity, power, and the relentless ability to create the life you have always imagined. Your focus is your most powerful asset. Protect it, train it, commit to it daily. Each time you do, you reinforce your growth, strengthen your confidence, and move closer to the person you are capable of becoming. Your attention is a choice, and in that choice lies your freedom, your power, and the life that is waiting for you to claim it. Fear is not the enemy. It is the signal that you are on the edge of growth. Every time you feel resistance, hesitation, or doubt, it is your mind warning you that you are stepping beyond what is comfortable. The question is not whether fear will appear, it will, but whether you will let it dictate your actions or whether you will use it as a compass pointing toward transformation. Fear exists to test commitment, to measure courage, and to challenge your willingness to prioritize yourself above all else. The people who achieve greatness do not avoid fear. They confront it, move through it, and harness it. Resistance is a constant companion on the path to self-mastery. The mind resists change because it clings to familiarity, to the comfort of old patterns, even when those patterns no longer serve you. This resistance manifests as procrastination, doubt, and self-criticism. It whispers that it is safer to stay small, to stay within limits, to avoid the discomfort of growth. But comfort is an illusion. Real power, real progress always requires stepping into the unknown, embracing the discomfort, and continuing forward even when it is hard. Each act of courage, no matter how small, chips away at the walls fear has built around you. Every time you confront fear, You expand your capacity for resilience. You begin to realize that the discomfort you once avoided is the very thing that strengthens you. The more you lean into fear, the less control it has over you. You start to see it not as a barrier, but as a marker of where your growth lies. Your brain begins to rewire. Neural pathways form that connect courage with action and doubt with conscious choice. Fear becomes a teacher, guiding you toward greater focus, determination, and self-trust. The act of moving forward despite fear is transformative. It rewrites the story you tell yourself about what is possible. It proves that you are stronger than your doubts, braver than your anxieties, and capable of more than you ever imagined. Each step you take into discomfort is a declaration. You choose yourself over hesitation. You choose growth over stagnation. You choose your vision over the temporary relief of avoidance. That choice, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable momentum. It is the engine that drives focus, discipline, and personal power. Imagine the liberation that comes when fear no longer controls your decisions. Imagine the clarity that emerges when resistance is no longer a wall, but a signal of where growth is waiting. Picture the satisfaction of taking deliberate action in the face of discomfort, knowing that each step forward strengthens not only your ability to achieve your goals, but your belief in yourself. Fear becomes a companion rather than a captor, and resistance becomes a tool rather than an obstacle. You were never meant to live small, restrained by doubt and hesitation. You were meant to confront what scares you, to challenge what limits you, and to rise above what holds you back. Each time you face fear intentionally, you build courage, deepen focus, and fortify the inner strength that carries you towards your highest potential. This is the alchemy of transformation, turning fear into fuel, resistance into opportunity, and every challenge into a step toward becoming the person you were always capable of being. You cannot cultivate strength without first cultivating love for yourself. Self-love is not indulgence or vanity. It is the foundation upon which courage, focus, and resilience are built. When you honor your own worth, you create a shield against doubt, criticism, and the endless demands of the world. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for everything in your life. Every thought of compassion, every act of kindness toward yourself, every moment you choose to nurture rather than neglect becomes a force multiplier for your growth. Self-love fuels action, it fuels persistence, and it fuels the unwavering belief that you are worthy of your own effort. Self-compassion is a practice, not a feeling. It is something you do deliberately every day. When you stumble, when fear threatens to paralyze you, when doubt rises like a tide, you do not attack yourself, you do not retreat. You speak to yourself with the same kindness and clarity that you would offer someone you deeply care about. The voice you cultivate within becomes a powerful ally. It reinforces confidence, it strengthens focus, it sustains momentum. The more you treat yourself as deserving, the more the world reflects that belief back to you. Your inner narrative becomes the engine of your transformation. Every day you make choices that either honor your worth or diminish it. When you allow yourself time for growth, reflection, and energy renewal, you are practicing love. When you prioritize your dreams over distractions, when you affirm your strengths instead of dwelling on weaknesses, you are practicing love. These acts may seem small in isolation, but they accumulate into profound change. Your brain begins to rewire. Your energy shifts. Your confidence grows. Every day that you commit to self-love, you are reinforcing a pattern that makes fear smaller, resistance weaker, and focus sharper. The absence of self-love is exhausting. It is a source of endless doubt, people-pleasing, and a gnawing feeling that no matter what you do, it is never enough. But when you deliberately practice self-love, a new reality emerges. You feel lighter, more capable, more willing to take risks. You gain the courage to confront fear, the clarity to focus, and the discipline to act consistently. Self-love is not a reward for achievement. It is the fuel that makes achievement possible. It is the invisible current that carries you forward, even when the path is steep and uncertain. Imagine the transformation when you speak to yourself with respect, when you honor your needs, when you consistently choose practices that reinforce your worth. Picture your confidence growing, your focus sharpening, and your courage multiplying. This is the power of self-love. It is the anchor in stormy seas, the fire that lights your path, and the foundation on which every other aspect of your transformation rests. When you treat yourself as valuable, the world begins to treat you the same way. You deserve the same dedication and compassion that you give to others. You deserve the patience and kindness that you reserve for everyone else's growth. The strength, clarity, and courage you crave begin with self-love. Nurture it daily. Protect it fiercely. Let it guide every decision, every action, and every thought, because the person who loves themselves with intention becomes unstoppable. The person who believes in themselves daily becomes unshakable. The person who commits to their own worth transforms not only their own life, but the world they touch. Every boundary you set is an act of self-respect. Saying no is not rejection of others. It is affirmation of yourself. Every time you allow your energy to be consumed by obligations, distractions, or people who do not value your time, you weaken your focus, drain your strength, and betray your own potential. Boundaries are the invisible walls that protect your inner world. They allow your energy, attention, and effort to flow toward what truly matters. Without them, you are at the mercy of circumstances, expectations, and the demands of others. With them, you reclaim control over your life. Saying no is a practice in courage. It challenges the fear of disappointing, the anxiety of confrontation, and the conditioning that tells you to always comply. Every no you give is a yes to yourself, a yes to your priorities, your vision, your growth. Boundaries create space for what is essential. They allow you to focus on your goals, invest in your development, and cultivate the habits that shape your transformation. The energy you save by saying no is not wasted. It is invested in your own evolution, compounding daily into clarity, strength, and results. Notice how often you say yes to things that do not serve you out of obligation, fear, or guilt. Notice how many hours, how many thoughts, how much effort is scattered in directions that lead nowhere. Now imagine reclaiming that energy. Imagine channeling it into practices that elevate you, decisions that align with your values, and actions that build your future. Each time you honor a boundary, your mind and body feel relief. A sense of calm rises, focus sharpens, and confidence strengthens. Boundaries are not limitations. They are accelerators. They give structure to your life, precision to your actions, and power to your choices. The people who live intentional, focused lives understand the value of boundaries. They guard their attention, protect their energy, and say no to what does not serve their purpose. They are relentless in their commitment to themselves. They understand that every distraction, every compromise, every concession of energy slowly erodes their potential. Boundaries are the daily practice that allows them to rise above the noise, to maintain momentum, and to invest in their own greatness. Imagine the freedom of living without compromise to your priorities. Picture your day flowing with intention, your energy concentrated, your actions aligned with your goals. This is the reward of boundaries, clarity, empowerment, and unstoppable momentum. The small acts of saying no ripple outward, creating a life where you are no longer depleted by the demands of others, but energized by the devotion you give to yourself. Boundaries are a declaration. You will no longer sacrifice your focus, your peace, or your growth. You will protect the space in which your life unfolds. Every no is a yes to the life you deserve. Every boundary you honor reinforces your value, sharpens your focus, and strengthens your commitment to yourself. Begin to see boundaries not as obstacles, but as tools of transformation. The energy you guard becomes the energy you use to build your vision. The clarity you protect becomes the clarity that guides your actions. And the courage you practice in saying no becomes the courage that empowers every step forward toward the person you are becoming. Every action you take must be rooted in what truly matters to you. Your values are not abstract ideas. They are the compass that guides every decision, shapes every choice, and determines the trajectory of your life. Without them, you drift, pulled by the expectations of others, the urgencies of the moment, and the noise that surrounds you. When your actions are misaligned with your values, frustration, doubt, and dissatisfaction quietly accumulate. But when your daily actions reflect what you believe, what you care about, and what you aspire to, everything changes. Clarity emerges, confidence grows. Your life begins to feel intentional, purposeful, and yours. Identifying your values is not a theoretical exercise. It is a deliberate act of self-definition. What do you stand for? What principles guide your choices when no one is watching? What is non-negotiable in your pursuit of growth, success, and fulfillment? Once you define these truths, Every decision becomes easier, every action more precise, and every challenge more navigable. Your values act as a filter for your attention, energy, and effort, ensuring that nothing diverts you from what matters most. Acting in alignment with them creates a harmony between your inner world and the life you live outwardly. When your choices reflect your values, fear and doubt lose their grip. The mind that knows why it acts is unstoppable. You no longer feel the inner conflict that comes from compromise, hesitation, or indecision. Your energy is no longer diluted by distractions or obligations that conflict with your purpose. Each day you move with intention, guided by principles that are greater than momentary desires or external pressures. The result is a momentum that feels effortless, even when the work is hard. The alignment between your values and actions becomes a force that propels you forward, making the impossible feel achievable. Consider the contrast between a life lived without alignment and one lived with it. A life without values is reactive, constantly shifting, responding to external forces, uncertain and exhausting. A life lived with values is proactive, deliberate, and energized. Every action carries weight because it is chosen, not compelled. Every decision reinforces identity, purpose, and direction. The brain responds to this alignment. Neural pathways are strengthened, focus sharpens, and resilience deepens. The more you act in alignment with your values, the more natural it becomes, until intentional living becomes your default state. Imagine the confidence that arises when your actions are inseparable from your principles. Imagine the clarity that comes when every choice reflects your true priorities. Imagine the satisfaction of living a life that feels whole, authentic, and meaningful because it is anchored in what matters most to you. This is the power of values-driven action, focus, courage, and fulfillment that reinforce each other in a cycle of continuous growth. Your values are your compass, your anchor, and your fuel. Protect them, define them, use them to guide every choice, every moment, every action. When you consistently act in alignment with what you believe, your life begins to move with purpose. Your confidence solidifies and your inner strength becomes undeniable. Acting in alignment with your values is not optional. It is the blueprint for a life of focus, freedom, and unstoppable transformation. Your energy is the most valuable resource you have, yet it is constantly being stolen, scattered, and depleted. Every thought, every conversation, every decision carries a cost. When you allow negativity, distractions, or unnecessary obligations to drain you, your focus, your creativity, and your capacity for growth are diminished. Energy is finite, and how you manage it determines the quality of your life. Protect it, guard it, invest it where it produces the greatest return. The stronger your energy management, the stronger your ability to act with purpose, clarity, and resilience. Physical energy fuels mental energy, and mental energy fuels emotional energy. Neglect any of these, and your life begins to slip into chaos. Your body responds to neglect, your mind becomes cluttered, and your emotions fluctuate uncontrollably. The choices that seem small, sleeping enough, moving your body, eating intentionally, pausing to breathe, compound into massive results when practiced consistently. Energy management is not optional, it is foundational. Each deliberate act to preserve and replenish your energy is an act of self-respect, an investment in your focus, and a commitment to your growth. Notice how easily energy is wasted on things that do not matter. Endless scrolling, worrying about what cannot be changed, dwelling on doubts and fears. Each moment spent here is a moment not spent building your life. But imagine reclaiming that energy and redirecting it toward action, clarity, and personal transformation. Imagine moving through your day with the vitality to pursue goals, the focus to execute plans, and the calm to handle challenges with precision. Energy is not just power, it is freedom. The more you conserve and direct it intentionally, the more capable you become of achieving what once seemed impossible. Emotional energy is equally critical. Negative emotions, grudges, and self-criticism consume an immense amount of internal power. Releasing what does not serve you, forgiving yourself, and practicing gratitude amplifies your capacity to act with clarity and confidence. Your emotions are signals, not chains. Learn to interpret them, respond to them, and harness them as fuel for growth, rather than allowing them to drain your resolve. The person who manages energy well is not just productive, they are resilient, focused, and unstoppable. Mental energy is your ability to think clearly, make decisions, and maintain focus. It is the foundation of every habit, every choice, and every action that builds your future. Each time you clear distractions, simplify decisions, and protect your attention, you strengthen your mental capacity. This is the compound effect of energy management. The small, intentional actions repeated consistently transform not just your day, but your life. The brain responds to focus and rest. The body responds to care. The spirit responds to alignment. Imagine the life you could create if your energy was protected, concentrated, and fully invested in what matters most. Imagine the focus, creativity, and resilience you would experience. Every step you take to manage your energy reinforces your commitment to yourself. Each deliberate pause, each moment of nourishment, each act of protection compounds into unstoppable momentum. Your energy is the currency of your transformation, and how you spend it determines the magnitude of the life you build. Guard it fiercely, invest it wisely, and let it propel you toward your highest potential. Your mind has the extraordinary power to shape reality, and what you visualize today can become your life tomorrow. The images you hold in your mind, the scenarios you rehearse, and the victories you imagine are not fantasies. They are blueprints for action. Every mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways, programs confidence, and primes your brain to recognize opportunities that align with your vision. Visualization is the invisible force that precedes action, the rehearsal that prepares you to perform at your highest level, and the spark that ignites consistent effort. When you visualize with clarity and intensity, your mind begins to believe in what you imagine. Doubt begins to fade, fear begins to weaken, and motivation surges. Mental rehearsal is not passive, it is active preparation. Each time you vividly imagine achieving your goals, overcoming obstacles, and stepping into your best self, you create a neurological pattern that guides real-world behavior. The brain does not fully distinguish between vividly imagined success and real success. By practicing focus, courage, and discipline in your mind, you are laying the groundwork for those qualities to emerge in reality. Visualization transforms your relationship with challenges. When obstacles arise, the mind that has rehearsed success remains composed, confident, and decisive. Fear loses its intensity because your brain has already experienced the outcome you desire. Resistance becomes manageable because you have practiced moving through it in your imagination. Every time you visualize, you are training yourself to act in alignment with your goals, to respond with resilience, and to trust your own capability. The act of imagining success is the prelude to achieving it. It strengthens belief, sharpens focus, and fuels perseverance. The intensity of visualization matters. It is not enough to casually picture success. You must feel it, embody it, and immerse yourself in it fully. Experience the pride, the relief, the satisfaction, and the energy as if it is happening now. Engage all your senses. Let your mind rehearse the emotions, the actions, and the discipline required to achieve your vision. The more real it feels in your mind, the more your body and brain align to create it in your life. Visualization is the rehearsal of reality. It turns abstract goals into tangible experiences that guide your actions. Imagine waking each day with a clear mental picture of the person you are becoming, the achievements you are working toward, and the life you are creating. Imagine the confidence that arises when your mind has already seen victory, when your decisions are aligned with that vision, and when your energy is fully devoted to making it real. Visualization is not a substitute for action. It is the compass that directs it. The clearer your vision, the sharper your focus, and the stronger your momentum. Your mind is the architect of your life, and visualization is the blueprint. Use it daily, deliberately, and with intensity. See yourself succeeding. Feel the energy of progress. Rehearse courage, focus, and persistence. Every moment spent visualizing is a moment of preparation, a moment of reinforcement, and a moment of empowerment. The life you imagine with clarity and purpose becomes the life you create with action, discipline, and unwavering focus. Growth is not a straight path, and transformation does not happen without struggle. Setbacks, failures, and obstacles are inevitable, but they do not define you. They refine you. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen resilience, sharpen focus, and deepen your commitment to yourself. The people who achieve greatness are not those who avoid difficulty. but those who confront it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Resilience is the bridge between potential and achievement, and it is built through consistent, courageous action. Your brain and body are designed to adapt. When you encounter difficulty and persist, you are rewiring your mind for strength and endurance. Each time you rise after a setback, you are reinforcing neural pathways that make confidence, determination, and focus stronger. The struggle itself becomes a teacher, revealing weaknesses to be strengthened and lessons to be applied. Resilience is not about perfection, it is about persistence, adaptation, and the unwavering commitment to your growth despite obstacles. Notice how easily the mind falls into excuses, blame, or self-pity when confronted with difficulty. These are the traps of stagnation, the barriers that keep you from realizing your potential. But every moment spent focusing on solutions, learning from mistakes, and taking deliberate action strengthens your internal power. Each challenge you face is a chance to practice courage, discipline, and focus. Each obstacle becomes a stepping stone when approached with determination and a growth-oriented mindset. Your life is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you respond. Growth is amplified when you reflect on progress instead of fixating on setbacks. Every step you have taken, every small victory, every deliberate choice matters. These moments accumulate, create momentum that propels you forward. Resilience is strengthened by acknowledgement, by gratitude for your own effort, and by the conscious decision to move past what cannot be changed. The combination of action, reflection, and learning transforms resistance into opportunity and struggle into mastery. Imagine the inner strength that develops when you meet every challenge with intentionality. Imagine the confidence that arises when setbacks no longer deter you, when obstacles are seen as signals of growth rather than insurmountable barriers. The more you embrace this mindset, the more unstoppable you become. Growth becomes a habit, resilience becomes instinct, and your ability to focus on what truly matters becomes unshakable. Every difficulty is no longer a threat, but a catalyst, a test of your commitment, and an opportunity to elevate yourself further. You were never meant to remain small or to be limited by fear, doubt, or circumstance. You were designed to rise, to overcome, and to grow continuously. Every challenge is a mirror reflecting your potential and a proving ground for your strength. The person who embraces growth, who leans into discomfort, and who rises after every fall is the person who transforms not only their own life, but the impact they have on the world. Resilience is not optional, it is essential. It is the engine that drives focus, fuels determination, and sustains the pursuit of the life you are destined to create. Every day is an opportunity to recommit to yourself. Commitment is not a one-time declaration. It is a daily choice, a series of deliberate actions, and a relentless focus on the person you are becoming. Without commitment, knowledge remains unused, motivation fades, and potential remains dormant. The act of showing up for yourself consistently, even when it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or exhausting, is what separates those who transform their lives from those who drift through them. Commitment is the invisible force that turns intention into reality. When you commit to yourself daily, you create a structure that supports growth. Habits form, focus strengthens, and confidence deepens. Every choice you make to prioritize your energy, attention, and effort reinforces the belief that you matter, that your goals matter, and that your transformation is possible. Commitment is not about intensity alone. It is about consistency. Small, deliberate actions repeated every day compound into extraordinary results. Each morning you choose yourself. Each decision you make in alignment with your vision, and each boundary you uphold becomes a brick in the foundation of the life you are building. Notice how easily distraction, doubt, and external demands can pull you away from what is essential. Without conscious commitment, even the strongest intentions can fade. That is why daily dedication is non-negotiable. When you honor yourself with unwavering consistency, your mind, body, and spirit align. You become disciplined not through force, but through repeated practice. Your brain begins to automate focus. Your habits reinforce progress, and your energy flows toward meaningful actions. The person you are becoming is built moment by moment, choice by choice, and day by day. Commitment is also a declaration of self-respect. It communicates to yourself that your time, energy, and growth are sacred. It signals that you will no longer allow distractions, excuses, or the opinions of others to dictate your path. Each act of recommitment strengthens your inner authority and silences the noise of doubt and hesitation. The more consistently you show up for yourself, the more resilient, focused, and empowered you become. Commitment is not a task, it is a mindset, a way of living, and a promise you make to yourself that cannot be broken. Imagine the momentum that builds when you dedicate yourself to your own growth every single day. Imagine the clarity, confidence, and focus that arise when your actions consistently align with your intentions. Every morning becomes a fresh opportunity to reclaim your energy, renew your vision, and reinforce your purpose. Every act of discipline compounds, creating a life where transformation is not accidental, but inevitable. Commitment is the bridge between who you are now and the person you are destined to become. You were never meant to drift. You were designed to rise, to focus, and to invest relentlessly in yourself. Daily commitment is the fuel that powers this ascent. It strengthens resilience, sharpens focus, and magnifies every effort you make. When you choose yourself every day, your life begins to reflect the strength, clarity, and purpose that exists within you. The life you envision, the goals you strive for, and the person you are becoming all demand one thing above all else: your unwavering daily commitment to yourself. Every decision you make, every action you take carries the power to either elevate you or drain you. The alignment between your daily behaviors and your deepest values is what determines whether your life moves toward purpose or drifts into distraction. Focus without action is meaningless, just as action without focus is wasted energy. When your actions are deliberate, intentional, and in alignment with your vision, momentum builds naturally. You begin to feel unstoppable because every choice reinforces the trajectory of your growth. Your habits are the visible reflection of your focus. Each small action repeated consistently compounds into results that are far greater than any single effort. Discipline, consistency, and intentionality are not abstract concepts. They are daily practices that reinforce your identity. When you take ownership of your actions, you reclaim control over your life. No longer a victim of circumstance, you become the architect of your destiny. The brain thrives on repeated behavior. The more you act in alignment with your goals, the stronger the pathways that support focus, resilience, and achievement become. Notice how often people wait for motivation to strike, for inspiration to arrive, or for the perfect conditions to appear. Waiting is a trap. True transformation comes from taking deliberate action regardless of comfort, fear, or uncertainty. Action fuels momentum, and momentum fuels confidence. Every step you take toward your vision, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you are capable, worthy, and committed. The life you desire is not built by chance. It is built by consistent, intentional action taken each day. Energy, focus, and courage are magnified when action is consistent. The mind begins to anticipate success, reinforcing belief. Habits take root, making progress inevitable. Resistance weakens because the pattern of action becomes automatic. Fear loses its intensity because repeated action demonstrates capability. The compound effect of disciplined behavior transforms not only your external reality, but also your internal state. You become confident, capable, and empowered because your actions continually prove your strength and resolve. Imagine the clarity that arises when every decision, every action, and every effort aligns with your vision. Imagine a sense of purpose and power that comes when you know that each day, no matter the challenges, you are moving forward. The consistency of focused action eliminates doubt, reduces regret, and solidifies self-trust. Each deliberate effort is a statement: you are committed, you are capable, and you are building the life you deserve. Your actions define you more than your intentions ever could. Every time you show up, every time you act despite fear, hesitation, or fatigue, you reinforce the person you are becoming. Momentum is built not in leaps, but in repeated focused steps that align with your goals. Each act of intention compounds into progress that cannot be reversed. Take control of your behavior, commit to consistent action, and let every choice reflect the vision of your highest self. This is the power of deliberate action, the engine that transforms focus, energy, and courage into a life of unstoppable growth and achievement. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. Without it, dreams remain distant, goals fade, and potential is wasted. Discipline is not about harsh rules or rigid control. It is about commitment, consistency, and the courage to do what must be done, even when you do not feel like it.